I don't know what happened to Rangers in this series. They were up 2-0. They won 5-1 in the first game, 5-1 in the second game. And then even in game number 6, they scored 5 goals. All the rest of the games that they played in the series, the 4 games that they lost, they just didn't show up in the series. The most important games, in game number 3, in game number 4, in game number 5, especially, they did not show up. And it had nothing to do with the change of the goalies. I don't want to hear this anymore. And I know a lot of people want to blame Gallant. If it was me and I was running this organization, you have to keep him. He took you to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. This year, you lose in the first round, so you're going to fire him? It has to do with the players. Patrick Kane wanted to be traded to the Rangers. He didn't show up in that series. Vladimir Tarasenko wanted to be a Ranger. He showed up for the first half of the series. The players that they added for this series, for this playoff run, didn't show up. Panarin hasn't showed up since he signed with the Rangers. Zibanejad, who's a fantastic talent, wins faceoffs. He's a good penalty killer. He's a good on a power play. He's everything you want in a player. He doesn't show up in the playoffs. And Shesterkin, I'm not blaming it on the kid. This wasn't his fault. He had a very good Game 7. He can't score the goals. Chuba, who is the captain. Miller, who is a young superstar everybody thinks is a future Norris Trophy winner. Fox, who everybody raves about. In Game 6 and Game 7, he played in a no-show in any of those games.
Yeah, it was the worst game of his career, and I would have never imagined somebody like Fox, who's playing well for the remainder of the series. He wasn't great in Game 6, but Game 7, he was just awful. And Keandre Miller, too, really fell apart after those first 2 games. The Rangers cannot win if they keep doing it like that and trying to trust veteran guys, all-stars, to be able to do everything for them. And that was, I think, the biggest problem. Not Gallant specifically with the game planning, but Gallant with the adjustments. It seemed like they were trusting the talent too much, and the talent just tried to keep playing the same way. And the players have to adjust too. Kane has to adjust. Tarasenko, I thought, did well for the most part, but still had some moments where he didn't look like he was great. And Panarin, second playoff in a row. What is happening with him? He's not passing the puck smartly. His shots are all high, missing the net. I've never seen a team that lacked so much effort in a Game 7 as the New York Rangers did. It was pitiful.
What do the Rangers do in the offseason?
One thing they have to solve is face-offs.
Which they thought they did by bringing in Trocheck.
Trocheck did great, but you can't have one guy winning face-offs. The Devils exposed that big time. The Devils, I think, even in Game 2, the Rangers blew them out. The Devils beat them in face-offs by like 10 or more face-offs every time, and it continued on in the rest of the series, too. That's why people are exploring the notion of trading one of the bigger name forwards. I would do that for a center. You're not going to get a star center, but
I would move on from Panarin. You can get something back for Panarin. He's still a good player. He's a quality player. Maybe if he goes to the right team, he can show up in the playoffs. I just don't know if the Rangers are a fit anymore for him. You've had your chances with Panarin. You've had your chance with Zibanejad. And I'm not saying trade Zibanejad, but if you can get pieces that can help you move forward and win championships, if it takes a Zibanejad or a Panarin to do that, then you do it.
You could get still players that can help you win now. You don't have to trade Panarin and only get draft picks. You could get a second-line center type that could help you win, a guy that can win faceoffs, be a durable, like a defensive guy.
I'm surprised the Rangers didn't trade for Bo Horvat.
I told you I wanted them to. I would have given up Lafreniere and Schneider and all the guys that they would have had to trade in that deal in order to do that.
Would you have given up Panarin for him?
At the time, I probably wouldn't have, but looking at it now, I probably would have, because you're looking at a second straight playoff in the row that Panarin has done nothing. At least other guys have had impacts on defense. Tarasenko actually played well defensively. Trocheck played well defensively. Zibanejad was kind of up and down. He did well in the first couple games against Hughes, but then Hughes started to dominate Game 3 on. But Panarin was just lost that whole series. It didn't seem like he was contributing anyway.
And a lot of Ranger fans will say, well, what did Bo Horvat do in the playoffs this year for the Islanders? Well, Barzal coming into the playoffs was not 100% healthy. He probably shouldn't have played in the playoffs because he missed the last 23 games of the season. At least Bo Horvat has an excuse on why he didn't show up to the playoffs this year. I don't think he had such a bad playoff. Only scored 1 goal in the playoffs.
Yeah, but again, he's going to get all the attention.
He's getting all the attention because Barzal's not 100%. As a matter of fact, the final game of the series against Carolina, Barzal only had 5 shifts because he wasn't healthy. So there was something wrong with Barzal, and hopefully in the offseason, these guys get a chance to play with one another and get to know one another. That's why they made the move for Bo Horvat and gave him that extension as long as Barzal signed his contract in the offseason. Lambert looks like he could come back. I expect them to make changes as far as the bench is concerned, assistant coaches, if Lambert does come back another year. If he doesn't, I expect the Islanders to make a move for a well-known, successful NHL coach that became available. Maybe a Sutter, Laviolette, a guy like him who has been a coach for the New York Islanders in the past, and then they fired him after, I think, a year or two. That was Mike Milbury. Thank you.